Hello, in this video we're going to be having a look at how you can create your own personal AI email assistant using make.com. Now here's one I've made earlier, but we're going to go ahead and build one from scratch. So the intention is that we take long form emails, could be a newsletter, could be anything that can't be quickly skimmed, and have AI summarize that email and then chuck it into a Google Sheet. So here's the one I made earlier, so you can see the output that we're looking for. So this is a newsletter summary, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and delete those rows so we can populate them again, and then summarize this newsletter by creating the automation in Make. So you'll see here that this is in my newsletter folder down here. So this is what we're going to have Make latch onto to capture the email information. So let's go in and create a new scenario. So when you log into make.com, you'll end up on a home screen like this. Make is free for up to 1,000 operations a month, which is great. I've only used 8 in building this entire workflow, and you can see usage history here as well. We won't in this video go through the API tokens or any of the org settings that you need to facilitate the integration, but that will be included in the written version, which I'll include in the links underneath this video. Alright, so let's go into scenarios. This is the one I made earlier, but we'll create a new one from scratch. So the first thing that we want to do is create a new module, and we'll search for Gmail. I've already connected Gmail, but what you'll have when you first use this is the ability to add a new connection, and then you'll have to give authorization there. And then we'll go ahead and we'll find the folder that we want Make to latch onto when going through this summary process. So we'll click on newsletter, and then the criteria is all emails, irrespective of whether it's read or unread. So we'll just do all emails, and that's it for now. So that's all good. So we can click on OK, and we've got our trigger. But we also need to specify when we want the automation to start. So this is all emails according to the parameters we've set. So emails that end up in that newsletter folder. So we'll click on OK there. Then what we need to do is we need to add our AI element, which is going to be OpenAI. Just search for OpenAI. And then we'll create a completion. Yeah. Again, I've already connected OpenAI, but you need to add a connection. Go through to the online help if you want more instructions, or as I said previously, refer to the written documentation, and then we'll leave the create a chat completion as the selected method. Now we can choose the model. GPT-4 is the most expensive, so we're not going to use that. You have to bear in mind that every time you do an API call to OpenAI, it's going to charge you, 0.0000 however many pennies or cents to run that automation. So, I'd rather keep this at a lower cost. We don't need a huge level of intelligence, so we just use the GPT 3.5. We'll use the 16,000 version, which basically got a larger token limit, so it can consume larger amounts of text and instructions. And then we'll add our messages. So we'll add the first item, which is the system role that we want OpenAI to assume. So this is basically the base prompt that we want to give. What do we want the AI to act as? Now we'll come back to these variables to add in later. I don't need these for the time being for setting up the system prompt, but we can do act as an expert personal assistant with experience in managing busy email inboxes. Here we go. So that's the first role that we want the system to assume, but then we actually want the prompt for the AI to carry out once it's got access to the email information. So we're going to role and we're going to user, and then we can do summarize the following. In theory, we could just use the text content, but just to be safe, we'll put the HTML content in there as well. And again, these are the variables that we can pull over from Gmail. I'm just using the text, but if we did want AI to act on any others, such as the subject or any attachments, then we can do that as well. So let's move in and say, please output as bullet points, or a bullet point summary Yeah, please also include use your judgment to also include a ranking in terms of urgency based on the language used in the email. Right. Cool. So that's all we need to do in terms of the prompt. So we'll click on OK to finalize all of that. So we've got Gmail feeding the text from emails in the newsletter inbox into OpenAI, that's now acting as an expert personal assistant with expertise in managing busy inboxes, that's going to summarize the content and output as a bullet point list with a ranking of urgency based on the language. And then the last thing that we need to do is just connect it to a Google Sheet. So we'll do Google Sheets. Add a row, so every time we consume an email we want to output as a new row in the Google Sheet, so we can add a new row for every email that comes through. You can then connect. Again, you need to go through an authorization to connect it to your Google Workspace. Leave select by path as it is. You might have multiple drives, just my drive in this instance, and then we'll link it to the spreadsheet here that I've got set up as email summaries. All right. It's then going to ask us what sheet within that sheet we want to connect to. It's going to ask us whether our table contains headers, which it does. As you can see, we've got date, sender, subject, and summary. So in terms of values, this is where we want to use more variables. So we'll take the date from Gmail. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. We'll take the sender. In this instance, I'm not bothered about the sender email, but I do want the sender name. I'll then take the subject, and then the summary. This is the output that we want from the AI. A little bit tricky, but we go into choices, message, content. Yeah, and that'll pull everything through into the Google Sheet. So click on OK, and then what we can do, just move my face out of the way, is we can click on Run. In theory, it will trawl through that newsletter inbox, find the email. It'll then use AI to summarize, and then it'll output to Google Sheets. So we've got a tick for everything, which is good. Can't guarantee it always works though. But let's go into email summaries, and there we go. Yeah, so we can see that that's now dropped in the summary from the newsletter. It's pulled through the elements from the email and then the AI summary. Yeah, all right. There we go. Have fun, and drop us a message if you got any questions or want to have a play with yourself. See you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.